Right, so very good day to everybody present here. Once again, we are back with the AI, artificial intelligence. So today's topic is about AI in finance. We discuss about some interesting opportunities and challenges. And then in this particular class, we'll discuss about some code, some Python code about implementing this AI in finance sector. Okay. So this is especially for you, my dear students and young researchers, and you can reach me at dr.christoananth@gmail.com. Before beginning the session, once again, let me thank God for giving me this golden opportunity to deliver this useful session to share my knowledge among my fellow national, international participants, students, and young researchers. So today's class will discuss about AI in finance and then how you use AI as a right tool to gain the competitive edge. And then we discuss about more of the Python codes about normative finance, expected utility theory, and then we discuss about mean variance portfolio theory. So that comes under Python. And then we discuss about capital asset pricing model, and then we discuss about an arbitrage pricing theory, and then we discuss about some algorithmic trading. Everything comes under the Python AI code. Okay, and then about the various robo-advisory that you can implement in your future financial sector. And I've got some individual tasks for you to do, so you can complete them. And at regular intervals, I'll be giving you some videos. So today's video is about the Python AI code, so you can have a glimpse of what you can do it. Fine. So this is finance sector, and of course, in all the previous sessions, like 2 weeks, we had a long discussion. So it was entirely about implementation of artificial intelligence. It was all about giving some ideas, some solutions, what you can do in your banking sector, what you can use the case of tools or maybe decisions. You have discussed more, but so you cannot say AI is something new. So AI is already been implemented. So whenever it comes to the hardware platforms like maybe Python or maybe Julia or maybe R, they are programming languages where you can use AI to the maximum extent. So much of the cases, as we have developed with the case of the case studies. So I had already explained about this one, the something that is displayed in this board, AlphaGo. So AlphaGo was something using the deep learning model. I discussed about this earlier. So it had beaten the 18-time world champion. So AlphaGo is something about machine learning. AlphaGo is something about artificial intelligence. So beating the traditional model is something new in that time, and everybody started to think artificial intelligence as the next core business model. So we were able to observe or maybe generate realistic faces of the humans. So we are able to use this machine learning technology even in the situations, even in the human faces even. So that is the reason we are able to do much of the tasks with the case of artificial intelligence. So even you can use artificial intelligence to make better data-driven decisions. Also, whenever customers feel ignorant or maybe they have a fear to come up with any implementation, definitely AI, even in its simplest concerns, even in its simplest means, it is able to ably support the decision support system. So you call it in the finance industry, you call it as the AI revolution. Okay, and as far as the statistics says, according to Forbes reports, 70% of all the financial service firms are using ML to predict the cash flow events. Also, in order to generate this credit scores, in order to predict and detect the fraud detection. Also, in the decision support systems, 70% have already come into ML. So since ML is already embedded with AI, so definitely the 70% is growing. It is tending to increase in the forthcoming years. So this is the Python code. This is something new for the normative finance. So we are importing all the NumPy model for the normative finance with the case of parameters like S0, S1, M0, M1, and we are trying to inbuild all these parameters here, and you are going to define this u of x square root function. Whenever you are taking in the case of the mean of the functions, or maybe the average of the functions, you are going to use this expected utility theory. So it is all based on the stochastic models in order to make a prediction algorithm. So for this one, we tend to have different parameters like A1, D1, and you define the expected utility theory. You try to optimize all of the functions, and you return the lambda functions which are associated with it. So everything comes in the expected utility theory to normalize the functions in order to calculate the mean variance of the portfolio that we are going to create. So whatever portfolio that we are going to create is all about an artificial model which doesn't require human beings, but definitely with the help of the robots. As I told you, the robots can learn by itself. So we are going to feed this code into the Python, and we are going to return the mean function with respect to sigma as well as the square root. Okay, so we have a function like rs is equal to s1 divided by s0 minus 1 rs, rb equal to b1 divided by b0 minus 1 rb. So it is all because of the portfolio that we are trying to manage. So with each of the cases we are categorizing or maybe evaluating the weighted factor. Okay, so we have a sigma function, sigma phi, and variance also we are going to calculate. So it's all about some codes that have taken. So you can implement this in your banking or maybe the financial sector. You can use this code in order to build this model in the GitHub. Okay, GitHub platform. Then you have the label function like x label, y label. I can actually show you in the video about how you generate the x model, x label and then y label. The minimum variance, the constraints, also all evaluated in this mean variance portfolio theory. Okay, so whenever you have the graph. Okay, for example, a trading graph or maybe a stocks graph. For example, if you take maybe any share, what is today's value? Like today the time is maybe 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock maybe the share market starts. So 9:15, what will be the prediction? So how far it is going? What is the highest value? What is the low? And what is the average thing that you can go for? What is the buying value? How many shares that you can sell? So everything comes in that detailed statistics. So x label, y label, everything we can categorize, and you can go with the maximum Sharpe ratio as well. So we can also define the minimum volatility, maximum Sharpe ratio, expected volatility. Everything you can define the models with respect to variance x as well as variance y. And you can also define the capital asset pricing model also. So how far, I mean, how many assets you have with your company or maybe your organization. So what is the x plot? What is the y plot? What is the x label, y label? Also, you're defining maybe a set of elements, so you can display with the case of the array. Everything we can come up with this model, and you can calculate the expected return functions also. Right. In the case of arbitrage pricing theory also, we have some concatenation operations that are required. So we input all these parameters and we tend to the training the model with respect to the starting value as well as closing value in the matrix rank. And then even with the case of finance, there have been several applications in finance as well. So as I told you, I know a website called as Bank Bazaar. So I don't know whether you have heard about it. So actually you have a credit score that is associated. So how much credit score that you have. But normally the trendy ones that you have with AI or maybe ML will be having a smarter credit score. So how much savings you have, how much you are spending, how much you need to spend in the future. So everything comes with the case of credit scoring. And yes, of course, it is associated with the cards, even with the case of credit as well as debit cards. So it is associated with the international visa cards even. So many financial situations, maybe if you take in the case of a larger central bank, or maybe those small level petty banks like maybe fintech companies, they are of course in the business of their lending the money. Okay, so everywhere AI and ML plays a vital role. And in order to calculate the credit score, so they try to show like approximately once in every week I receive a mail, your credit score is this much, try to increase the value. So you are getting an idea about how much you are dealing with money and how you should project in the future. Okay, and definitely such decisions can be very much helpful for people like us, because maybe we might be caught up in a very great financial crisis, or maybe we might be caught up in an unknown situation just like COVID. So it is going to give you a faster as well as a accurate model for what we are going to design for the future. So whenever people are concerned about credit cards, whenever people are concerned about receiving money or maybe lending money for the purpose of loans, okay, so that is where the fintech companies are using the smart AI services in order to help the people. So that is algorithmic trading as well. So you remember this keyword, time is money. Nobody is interested to waste the time, nobody is interested to waste the money. Okay, but they want everything out of it, and they want it very soon. Okay, so whenever you take in the case of the stocks as well as trades, okay, so trading for money, okay, trading for the stocks, trading for the shares, okay, it is all about how you try to trade it. Maybe at one point of time you might have bought it, okay, maybe for some amount of time you would have been doing some other works, then suddenly you see the price, it would have changed drastically. So yeah, so you have to observe the process very carefully. So if you don't observe the process, then definitely it might the market trends might change. So more effort, more investment, more money is invested in the algorithmic trading. So complex systems are making the split second decisions according to how the support systems should act with respect to two different situations. So we are moving on to everything that is autonomous. Even with the case of trading also, we are moving into autonomous trading. Because for example, earlier I used to work on stocks and shares. So automatically I am getting a message from that particular organization, you have bought this one, the price is going up, you want to sell it or not. So that much automation has brought out in the trading as well as stocks as well as share sector. And there was a report by Modern Intelligence which indicates that 60% to 73% of the overall US equity trades back in 2020 was handled by the AI supported systems. So if it has been implemented in 2020, then of course definitely the percentage is expected to rise by at least 80%. And definitely even with the big boss like US are going to use this one, of course it is expected to reach the margins in all of the developing or maybe emerging countries. And there has been robo-advisory even with the case of short-term plans or maybe long-term goals with respect to the risk management, risk preferences, whatever income that you have to manage with the case of the banks or maybe the fintech companies, everywhere we have robo-advisory. For example, as I told you, we family men have too much of responsibilities, money for LIC, money, I mean, for the life insurance corporation, or maybe for the health insurance, or maybe something for the family, something for the food, something for the expenses. Everything has to be managed out very carefully. Okay, and even for the picking the assets, what asset you should invest in, when to invest in, when you should sell. Everything comes with the advising or maybe decision support system, and that is where the robo is going to learn the model and it is going to provide decision on its own. So each of the cases, either of the cases, the customer are the beneficiary ones. So the customer is going to get what is needed from the robo and not from the people. So that is some individual task for you. Of course, in this session, I'm going to ask you some of the things from the previous session. Okay, so this is a task for you. You can do them maybe in today's session. Yes, of course, you can do it in the today's session. How does AI help in personalized banking experience? So you can think about it. And you can discuss among yourselves. Actually, why I am giving you task every session is that at least by researching the internet, you get to know about the things that is happening in the world. At least it can kindle some 1% interest in you. So definitely in your future practices, you can come up with AI, and definitely whenever you take in the case of traditional banking or maybe internet banking, with respect to debit cards, credit cards, you will, of course, try to use AI. Okay. Can we utilize this session?
Yes.
Yes. So I'll give you some 10 minutes time. 10 minutes. So you can come up with at least 3 or maybe 4 points of how you can come up with AI in your personalized banking experience. Don't think about traditional, personalized. Like for example, what are the mobile apps you will use for your banking and how you can come up with AI in your personalized experience. From applications.